Okay, as you can see, I'm back, I'm well, I'm alive. So you might be wondering what's going on. Well, where to start? This is really where the story starts for me. So all of the rest was kind of a standard wild camp for me, maybe a bit more weather than I expected, but a standard wild camp. But from now on, this is where the story starts. So the reason it's not being filmed is because I was in not a great situation, and I just had to focus on getting off the mountain and not filming for YouTube and stuff like that. I'll show you a picture now. This is what my tent was like at 5 o'clock in the morning. So have a look now. You can see the snow's built up around the tent. It's not distorted because the tent's really strong. It's Hilly Berguna. I'm really glad I took it. But you can see the wind putting a lot of pressure on that tent constantly. It's about 50-mile-an-hour winds and constant snow all night. So it's pretty rough. Okay, let's go back a bit to the end of the last video. If you've seen it, if you watch all the parts, you'll get a feel of where we've come to this point. What happened in the night was, after I did my last bit of filming, tried to get some sleep, couldn't get any sleep, couldn't sleep all night, so I was tired. That's the first point. Halfway through the night, I felt a lot of pressure on the tent above my head, and I had a feeling things were moving around, making a lot of noise, things like that. So I thought I'd have to get up, do something about it, even though I didn't want to. This is about 1 o'clock in the morning, I would say. So you have to get out of your sleeping stuff, put on all your waterproofs, put your boots on, gloves. Oh, I didn't put any gloves on because I thought I was going to tighten guy lines. It's pretty hard with gloves on. So got all that ready. Open the inner of my tent, put my feet out, put my boots on, open the outer of my tent, and then I went out and then I closed the outer, not all the way, I left about 8 inches or so open, and then I went outside, and it was the worst weather I've ever been in. It was really, really strong wind. I had trouble to stay upright. And looking around the tent, I wanted to tighten the guy lines, but I couldn't because the whole of the tent guy lines was just a single piece of ice, solid ice. So I had to kick all the lines to try and get ice off, free up the little guy things and try and tighten it, but it was very, very difficult. Didn't have my gloves on, big mistake. My hands were super cold instantly, so that was not good. So I went round, did the best I could, tightened it all up. The porch I had was facing, so the wind was blowing over it off the face of the cliff, coming up over, and in the middle of the night the wind had done 180 and was come from the other direction, still onto the narrow end of the tent, which is perfect, but it's catching under this little tarp thing I had, so I wasn't very pleased with that, and it wasn't adjusting very well to get it tight. I couldn't find the pegs in the ground, they were so deep under the snow. By this time there was about 2 foot of snow on the ground. So anyway, I did the best I could, filled a bit better, some of the lines were tighter, etc. They weren't really slipping, which was good. So I went back in, so I opened up the tent, but before I opened it, I realised it was a lot more open than I'd left it, and the wind had caught the zip and pushed it open a little bit, and the inside was open as well. I left that open, and basically the whole of my inner tent was literally covered in snow. So this is really not good, because if you get a down thing wet, it doesn't keep you warm anymore. Even the hydrophobic downs don't work. So I spent a lot of time, closed the outside of the door, I had spare like tea towels and towels and stuff, wiping everything down. Luckily, on top of my duvet, I had my vapor quilt, which is a synthetic layer. That caught all the snow, so my down quilt underneath was completely dry. So that was absolutely lucky, really, for me. Got all that out, got all the snow out, wiped it all down, dried it all off. This is by now it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. Stripped off all my waterproof gear, took my boots off, got into bed, nice and warm, happy days, good. So that was 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock, there was a loud noise outside. It's like the cracking of a whip, regular, and the wind was really catching that little awning I put. It wasn't the right awning, it was a summer awning that I was kind of using, took the wrong one. wasn't designed for the wind. The shape of it wasn't designed for the wind. Should tap the other one. But I thought, it's acting as a sail, the wind's hitting it, it's whipping up, snapping, it's actually pulling the tent, so it's putting pressure on the top of the tent, and this is not good. I only had the standard 8mm DAC poles in there. Now for storm conditions you can double pole it, there's enough room for that, or you can get really big thick poles to go in there for storms, and I didn't have those. So I was worried about the pressure on those poles. So I thought, I'm going to have to take that awning off just to give the tent a bit more of a chance to survive. I didn't want it coming down on me particularly. So got out of the bag, put all my waterproofs on, went outside, put my boots on, closed the inner so no snow can get in. First lesson learned, that was good. Had gloves on, second lesson learned, that was good. Went outside, closed the door, and then took my time. It took me 15 minutes to get the awning off. That's a long time in a blizzard. By that time it was a whiteout. If you put your hand in front of your face with your arm distance like that, you couldn't see your hand, it was that thick. We're down to about 3 feet of snow now. This is the point where I started thinking, this is not a normal situation, this is an extreme situation. I could be in a lot of trouble here. Anyway, I dug down through the snow, found the stakes, pulled them out, pulled the stake. You don't want a stake flying into your tent, that would be a disaster. So I was very careful, holding the line, pulling the stake, all the rest of it. Eventually got this thing off with gloves on, really hard to do. Wrapped it up, took it in my tent, put it away, got back in my tent, which was all fine, got back into my down top quilt, warm again, good. Now the tent was really stable. There was no whipping noise, no cracking noise. The tent was very rigid and strong. I was really happy with that. And I thought, this is going to last the storm, no problem now. I've got no worries about that. Then I couldn't get any sleep again, so I was still really tired. And about 5 o'clock in the morning, the blizzard was still going strong. It was not easing up at all. And I'm thinking, snow's only getting deeper. I did plan to go on down past memorials and down through a forest, but I've never been that way before, and doing that in a blizzard is probably not a good idea, so I'm not going to do that. Even if it's the shortest way back to the car, it's still quite a long way. I'm going to have to stop my plan, pack everything up and go back the way I came, the route I know, round the mountain and back down to the car. So I made a mental choice, and in survival situation, it was a survival situation at that point, I made a mental note to make every decision very carefully. Take my time, make the decision, make the right decision, and act on it and do it. So in the tent, I packed everything up, got it all in my backpack, which is quite hard, inside a tent. And then I had to get the tent down in the blizzard, which I hate doing. I have done it a few times, but I hate doing it. Everything's flapping around. Left 2 big stakes at the wind side of the tent, so it wouldn't fly off the edge of the mountain, things like that. And it's going all right. I got it into the pack, got it into my backpack, so that was good. There was ice and snow all over it, so I had to get all that off to get it packed away. Anyway, I'd done that. So now it's 5:30. I thought, 6 o'clock, the light's going to be coming up. So I got my head torch on so I can see what I'm doing. Really good head torch, I'm really pleased with that. And got my backpack on. I could see daylight, it was kind of getting light. And I thought, this gives me the maximum amount of daylight to get off the mountain. It shouldn't be a problem. It took me 2 hours to get to where I was in the day. So I thought a couple of hours, maybe a bit longer because it's snowing. No worries. So, first problem, there's a track or a trail that goes all around the mountain, which I was using. You might have seen it in the previous videos. That had disappeared. There was no trail at all. And what happens is, you get your mountain and you get all your like grass and divots and stuff like that. Then you get the drop off of the mountain, and then you get your trail, which is like a little U-shaped dent. The whole of the trail was just full of snow. And that snow was up to my waist. It was about 1 meter deep. in the divot where the trail is. So if you're walking on the trail, you've got big issues because you're trying to get through a metre of snow, and that ain't going to happen. If you walk up on the grass, you're exposed to all of the weather, but you're not going through deep snow. So this is a bit disconcerting because I was using the trails to know where I am and to navigate and to get back. Put your hand out, could hardly see your hand, so there's no visibility. The cliff edge is just here. It's all pure white, nobody's there. I was the only one on the mountain. And I thought, right, now I've got to get off this mountain. So what have I got to do? I've got to know where I'm going. I've got to look out for dangers, and I just got to plod on until I get off. I'm going to get off. Right, okay, good. So I got a 12 kilogram backpack, which is not bad for winter, but it's still quite a weight. So I'm sinking in the snow as much as I can, as much as down to the ground. The snow's all over the place. There's drifts and thin bits and thick bits. And one of the things that saved me, there's two things that saved me pretty much. One was this. I forgot my walking poles, as you've seen in previous vid, and I went into a little shop and I was umming and ahhing, should I buy a pole or not? I don't know. Anyway, I decided to buy a pole. I've only ever had cheap poles, like really cheap poles, so I thought I'd buy a nice pole. I bought a Lecky Adventurer, a Lecky Voyager, sorry, Lecky Voyager. It's pretty light. It's not carbon fibre light, but it's pretty light. It's really strong. I wasn't sure how it's going to work. It's twist lock. I don't really like twist lock, but I needed it for other things. And this didn't let me down once. It's absolutely amazing. It's got a good strong rubber handle, good, it's quite bashed actually. It's just a good pole, good tip. It's got a snowshoe, don't know why, because it don't really do anything in the snow, to be honest. And what I was doing, I was extending this quite far out, and I was probing the snow in front of me, finding where the ground was, deciding is that too deep or not, and then taking a step. And then probing, step, probing, step. So progress was really slow. I wasn't cold. I had several layers on. I had a down thin layer on, and now that I had my waterproofs on over top. Waterproof trousers, I had merino wool base layer, so I was warm, so that's good. My feet were good, my boots were good, so that's good. So I was prodding along, going really slowly. Couldn't find the path at all. Even if I could, full with snow, no point walking there. And what I realised was, coming up, there was these grasses on top of the mounds of the peat bogs, which is another danger. But on the highest bit, there was these grasses growing, and the grasses were about a foot long. All of them were about a foot long. And I could see the tops of these grasses sticking out some of the snow. So I knew if I walked wherever I saw grass, I couldn't be more than 1 foot to the ground. So that's what I did, and that worked really well. I could stay on top of everything, go where I wanted to go, etc., etc. But I was tired, I was exhausted. I had food and drink on me, which was really important and really good. But I was pretty tired. I had no sleep all night. It was 6 in the morning, trekking out, you know, you're tired. So I was probing away. One probe, I put a probe down, found the ground, put my foot about, I don't know, 5 inches next to the probe, and my foot just went, and I was up to my waist in snow. What had happened was, there's a ledge of peat that grows, and then there's a drop off, and then there's other ground where the water's worn it away. My probe hit the end of the peat, and my foot went down the side. So I was kind of at a funny angle, and I can tell you, getting out of snow that's up to your waist when you're tired is really hard. Because everywhere you put your hand, that just sinks in. There's no floating. You've got 12 kilograms on your back, so you're not going to float out of there very easy. So what I did was I got my pole again. I made sure this was tight around my wrist, because if I lost this, I'd be in big trouble. So I got my pole, is the right length anyway, and I put it in the snow in front of me, horizontal, and I dug it in, and it acted like a snow anchor, and I could grab the middle of it and pull myself out of the snow pretty much, just on my arms, and pull myself up. And it, in the peat and the snow, it kind of sucks at your boots. It's very hard to get your boot out. Luckily they were tied on pretty tight, and I lost my boot. But yeah, I was going in, dragging out, and eventually get out the hole. So But the process of doing that exhausts a tremendous amount of energy. What energy you've got is eating up pretty fast. So at all costs then, I was trying to avoid hitting holes. Now I hit a few. It wasn't the last one for sure, but I got pretty good at pulling myself out. So I knew if I got down a big hole, I can get out. So that was one thing. Eventually, I was getting a bit lost. Because it was a whiteout, it does disorientate you. It's really weird. So I wanted to, the only thing I could do, there's no features, no nothing. So I got my phone out, which was about 60% charged. Another lesson, I'll make sure that's charged every night from now on, 100%. I got it out, it's 60% charged, and I knew I had a signal, and I used the GPS, and I went on Google Maps on the satellite view, because I recognised it, and I knew it very well. And it picked up where I was pretty quick. It was in a housing, so it was okay in the blizzard to use. And that told me exactly where I was, which direction I was facing, and how to orientate myself to get back to where I was. So I had to double back, actually. It wasn't that easy. So that set me on a course. And what I decided to do, I turned off things like the pin lock, because to type in a pin in a blizzard with a glove on doesn't work unless I found out when gloves are soaking wet through, they work just fine on a touch screen because the conductivity. It don't work when it's dry. It was interesting. So then I could orientate myself. So I got the track. What I did was I physically turned round to the heading where I needed to go, so I could point in one direction, turn the phone off, put it in my pocket, not turn it off, just close the screen down, put it in the pocket, save it, battery, head off in that direction as far as I could, and it was prod, step, prod, step, prod, step. So it's pretty hard going. The snow's always over your boots, so that was not great. There was snow getting in the top and things, even though I had my waterproofs on. So prod, prod, prod. So go along, tireder and tireder and tireder, going uphill, because I'd gone down a bit and I had to climb back up, and that was hard going. Eventually found a path, because although it was all snow, you could put your pole down and it hit kind of concrete-y stone, and I knew that was a path. So I started sticking to that. It was on top of the mountain, so it wasn't in a dip, it wasn't deep, and I noticed you could see icy patches in the snow, and that was where there was water that had frozen, and then it's slippery, so you get dust in the snow that slides off. And if you walk on there as well, it's pretty firm. So that was a good tip. I was looking at that. Every 15 minutes or so, I was getting my phone out, checking my orientation. Am I still going in the right direction? Is this where I want to be going? Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Changed, blah, blah, blah. So eventually I got to the point where I got onto the other side of the mountain where I wanted to be. I could see the trail going across the mountain. It was just pure white snow, no grass sticking out. I knew it was extremely near the edge. It was very dangerous, and I didn't want to walk in it because it was super deep. So just up from the trail, there's a little bank, and I could see grass top, so I was going to walk along that bank. Even though I know it's boggy peat, I was better off there than on the trail, which was very near the edge, and you couldn't see off the edge. So I stayed on the grass side, followed the trail, and just ploughed on. Now I pushed myself pretty hard. It was harder than I'd ever pushed myself before physically. I was stopping and drinking, eating trail mix. That kept me going because it gave me a lot of energy, which is really good. My morale dipped periodically. There was times when I thought I wasn't going to walk off the mountain. Mountain rescue was on my mind. I had to make sure I had enough battery life to call mountain rescue. But I wasn't at that point yet. I still had energy. I could still push myself. I could still go. So carried on, thinking about a lot of things in your head. I was singing to myself just to keep my spirits up, which is a bit odd. I don't normally do that. I was talking to myself, which is a bit odd. What was I singing? Michael Jackson, Billie Jean, I think. I don't know why. And it kind of worked. I kind of got through. And I started to see features in the landscape that I absolutely recognised because it was more my trail that I go on quite a bit, which gave me a lot of confidence because I knew from that point all the way to the car, I knew the terrain and where to go. Carried on, digging out a hole still doing all that, going around peat bogs and stuff like that. Nobody about. I was the only one on the mountain, which was probably not a great idea in those conditions. And eventually I got to a place where the snow started to thin, and I could see, in total, it took me 2 hours to get there the previous day. In total, from packing up my tent to getting to my car, took me 6 hours. So I was heavy walking through snow for 6 hours, and I was wasted. I had no energy left by the end of it. But as I was getting on top of the bit, I knew that the snow started to thin because it was a different direction to the wind. And I started seeing runners and stuff coming up the hill. There's people going out running in these conditions. I don't know why. And you could start seeing the tourists come up and stuff like that because it's getting near the end. So that gave me a lot of spirits as well. And then I just carried on walking. I knew where I was going. And then we got this massive descent, super slippery, super icy, thick with snow. So that took me much longer than I planned. So I'd having to jab me pole in, and then because it's such a steep descent, you jab your pole in, and then you put your boot up against your pole like that so it can't slip. Wait till it's steady, lift your boot a bit, take the pole out, next one, so it's step, 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 all the way down. I didn't slip, didn't turn an ankle, it was all good all the way. So eventually got down the mountain 6 hours later and got to the car, and I was pretty relieved, I can tell you. I didn't know how long further I could go. Even now I've got bruises, knocks, no broken bones, so that was good. I got sores, I got no blisters, which is good, but I have got pain in my hips and feet and back and things like that. Just where you're going over in weird positions and things like that, it just puts a strain on the body, I think. So, but yeah, I got back to the car. It's all good. I had extra food and drink in the car. I always store it there, so that was amazing when I got there, just to get that food in me and the drink in me. And then I drove out, pretty weak. Got to the nearest cafe, went in there and bought hot chocolate. I had some food, hot food, and some like Dundee cake, high energy cake, and then I felt a lot better. I felt pretty good, and I got home after that. So that is my story. Hopefully you'll take something away from that. I would say things I would do differently. Again, I'm always going to pack a hiking pole, at least one, because it did save me. I'm always going to keep my battery charged on my phone 100% all the time, because that saved me. Good clothing was really important. Strong tent. If I'd gone for a lightweight tent on that trip, I might not have been around. You really need a strong tent. Weather can change to extremes in a very short space of time. Try and expect it, because it could happen. And study the weather more. I'm definitely going to study the weather more. You can't predict everything. There was weather coming in. I knew there was weather coming in, but it didn't talk about that kind of level of weather. So maybe it's it can change real fast, and no one can predict it. So you've got to be prepared for that. I think on reflection, I think I did the right thing waiting there through the night and then walking back in daylight, because if I decided to bail out early, say, I don't know, midnight or something like that, which I could have done, the snow wouldn't have been so deep, the wind still would have been high, but the problem is it'd been pitch black, and right on an edge cliff, trying to navigate in the pitch black, even with a head torch, is dodgy. If the battery had gone on my head torch, I had 2 more spare batteries. If I'd have expended all of that, then that would have been a real issue, because you wouldn't be putting your tent up in the dark very easy without a head torch. So yeah, I think I did the right thing. Waited till daylight, got up as soon as I can. It took me the 6 hours to get out of there, and I needed all of those 6 hours working really hard, hardly stopping at all. And I had a bit of exhaustion at the end. I could feel it coming on. I knew it was going to be an issue. Not dehydration, just pure exhaustion. So that's my tale, that's my story to tell. I'm still going to be wild camping, that's for sure. I won't be doing solo up mountains in winter again, I don't think. I don't need to do it. I might go with a group, but I won't go on my own. I'll do a lot of other stuff instead. But yeah, you got to live your life. You got to do things. I push my body to the limit. I know what I can do in these situations, which I never knew before. Mentally, I knew where I was in terms of strength of mind and what I wanted to do. I proved all that to myself, and you know, I need to do these things. I can't just sit down and have a nice, quiet, safe life, because then I haven't really lived. So I need to live my life. So I do these things. I'm not a risky guy. I don't really take risks. I take a lot of precautions, and I got a family and things like that. So yeah, you got to really think about these things if it's what you want to do. But yeah, for me, I'll continue to do it. I'll learn from it and carry on. See you in the next vid. Cheers. Bye.